pick up on... well, actually, we could just do Parry's story. So we are talking about this guy. So he this guy is part of his name is Major Alan Parry. He's the son of the Canon Alan James Parry, and his brother was Captain George Parry, who was the chaplain for the 7th Parachute Battalion. And if you can remember back to our discussion on the Pegasus Bridge and the defense in Bonneville, he was the chaplain who was killed trying to defend a regimental aid post that was overrun. So this guy, he dropped on Drop Zone Victor with the and he was tasked to be the pathfinder and the sort of the rendezvous organizer for the Drop Zone Victor. He used a red Aldis lamp, which could signal to people around and to the planes coming in the position of the rendezvous and the drop zone. They landed in Drop Zone Victor. He remembers having a problem with his kit bag and struggling with it as he's coming down. He remembers hearing bullets coming around him as he's dropping, but none were actually destined for him. When he lands, in this area, he finds it very difficult to orientate himself, presumably because the difference between him and George Smith is that George Smith is looking around, sees Varreville, sees Gonneville, gets a good location. But Parry, because he's struggling with his bag, fails to notice where he is. And that's the difference between knowing where you are and not knowing where you are. he remembers that very soon after landing, he has no idea where he is, but he hears a rustle and he whispers punch, and he gets the reply back, Judy. And he joins up with two Canadians who are lost. Now these are probably Canadians who are the pathfinders for the Canadian drop, so they're lost too, and this might explain why quite a lot of the drops are going wrong for the Canadians later. He remembers, so they dropped at the same time, 20 minutes past. He says that by 1 o'clock he's getting agitated because he hasn't made it to the RV. He's moving through the drop zone area, and he's picking up more and more people. So he has about 12 with him. And then he says he sees a red light, which was being held by Lieutenant Joe Worth, who was the battalion's intelligence officer. He moves towards it, and he comes across a Sergeant Eastley. He's waving his torch. And then there's the second in command, Eddie Charlton, and Captain Hudson. So he gets to the RV, and he realizes that there's basically hardly anybody there. So it's been 40 minutes since the drop. We're talking. We're talking about 1 o'clock. Let me just change this. And we're at Gonneville, and this is the what I believe is the location for the RV point. It makes sense that it's in this area somewhere. At this point, he meets up with his Batman, and if you can remember, his Batman was the guy that George Smith bumped into. Who was Private Adzed. He gets out this his oldest lamp at this point, and goes up this tree and starts signaling to. I think it's signaling to everybody, really. I think they may be signaling mainly to the drop zone to say, look, this is the RV point. And they possibly might signal the planes coming in, but I think this is mainly a red lamp to guide people in. And so now we're waiting here. Now we're waiting for Lieutenant Colonel Otway to arrive, and he arrives at around about 2:30. And when he arrives, he's given the information by his second in command, who basically tells him that this is Charlton. He tells him that the amount of people they've got is only about 50. So of the 600 men that have jumped in, only by 2:30. Now, I get confused here whether it's 2:30 British sometime, double time, or whatever. It's either 1:30 or 2:30. There's different reports. It depends who you hear. But even so we're talking maybe an hour or 2 hours. And especially when you listen to George Smith's account, his account sounds like it would probably take 2 hours to do. Anyway, so by this time, there's only 50 men arrived. And when Otway then decides that he's got to get on with the job, but there's reports that the men it's increased maybe to between 110 and 150 people. So the amount of men he's now attacking with is going to be less than what is expected up at the battery.
Clear to land runway tree 1, FLP 1944.
So we've got to the point then where Otway's arrived. He's informed of the lack of men, and then he's also informed by Charlton that the gliders hadn't arrived. So there was 5 gliders. They were due to land, I believe, probably about 1:30, 1:35. It might be 12:35. Again, I'm not sure. It's that sort of confusion about the time. These gliders, the towing aircraft reported that when they were crossing the English Channel, they hit a squall. The squall meant that the towing line had become disconnected, and they went down in the sea, and they were never seen again. Which I find immensely sad. You know, that there's something about soldiers dying in combat before actually being able to fight that is, you know, or dying by an accident in combat is incredibly sad. These gliders, they were going to be carrying the heavy equipment and supplies. They had 6-pounder guns on them. There was some anti-tank guns. They had 3 jeeps, but more importantly for Otway, they were carrying scaling ladders and Bangalore torpedoes. Otway recalls, he said, I had no radio sets working, I had no engineers, and he had no medicals. He had damn all, really. And it occurred to me, yes, do I go ahead or do I not? And I'm not lying cheating on this. The first thought that went through my mind was, how on earth could I face my friends if we did not go ahead? So we went ahead. I was committed. I felt, well, if it goes wrong, it goes wrong. There's nothing I can do about it now. So I suppose it would be true to say I went on and put all thoughts of failure out of my mind. It was a question of move off or give up. And in the parachute regiment, giving up is not an option. So we shall leave this here for today. We've just gone over an hour and 20 minutes. Just like to leave you with something which is always kind of reported in this thing. The stress that this Otway guy was on is immense. And I remember he talks about the importance, I suppose, at this moment of his Batman. Is almost like a valet that these officers had. They tend to be sergeants. They tend to be sort of salt of the earth kind of guy. He talks. He remembers talking to him, and if I can just find. Just find where he spoke. This is it. So he turns to his Batman, which was Wilson, and says, "What the hell am I going to do, Wilson?" And he turns around and says, "There's only one thing you can do, sir. There's no need to ask me." And he just said, "You're right. What else can I do?" I think he, at this point as well, offers him a glass of whiskey in a sort of a waiter kind of on a silver plated tray kind of gesture. And that's it. Now, we know, we now turn to the actual assault itself. So I'm going to leave you with the position that they got to. So on the picture, they're down in the bottom right hand corner where it says firm base, and I believe it is this area here. And so in the next episode, we'll start off with the actual assault at Merville from this position. So thank you very much for watching. I will see you in the next one. Remember, you can join up on the Discord and ask any questions and add any facts you have. If you have any questions, just leave it below. Otherwise, I'll see you in the next one.